Welcome to the end of year brunch. We are so excited that we are going to get to hear from 6 brave, fearless moms. We asked them if they would share their experience because we know from scripture and we know from life experience that God uses everything. Say everything. That God uses everything, every story, every experience for His glory and our good and for the good of others. And so we trust that God is going to use our voices to encourage, to empower, and to help other moms. And that's the only reason they've agreed to speak today. And so I'm going to exit the stage and they are going to take over and be fearless. So will you put your hands together? They'll introduce themselves as they come up here. And so will you put your hands together for these brave moms?
So I was thinking about what I wanted to share, and I started thinking about something that my mom told my sister and I before we had children. She looked at us and she said, "Girls, don't have children. They ruin your body and your life." We said, "Thanks, Mom." And she wasn't wrong about the body part, y'all, like, for real. Like, can I just get some high-waisted pants in here? But the other part, too, she really wasn't wrong about as well, and I was talking to her over Easter weekend, and we were kind of laughing about it, and she said, you know what I was really trying to impart to you guys in her way was that when you have children, your life changes so drastically that it doesn't at all resemble the life you had before you had kids. I mean, little bits and pieces here and there, but for the most part, you kind of say goodbye to that life, the life where you just got to pick up and go get, a new outfit or run to the store and grab something. Now for out of toothpaste, I'm like, do we really need toothpaste? Can we just use water? I don't want to get out with 2 kids in the rain. But, that's how it starts to change things. And it's that dramatic transition. And it's a lot of sacrifice. And they say parenting kids don't come with a manual, but neither does motherhood. It's like you're kind of in it, and then you have to sort of figure it out. And I think that's where Fearless Mom has really sort of been a lifesaver, because when you're stuck in this cycle of not really knowing what to do, sleepless nights and crying babies, and I have a 2-year-old and I have Henry who came in December, so an infant now. It kind of takes you by surprise, and you go, okay, now what? And so when you come into Fearless Mom, it's this environment that's warm and welcoming. I can't tell you guys how many times I've been so late, even this morning. I planned to get there on time, and it's like I hit every red light. I can't get out. We start to leave, and then I remember, I need to go get a bottle. So we had to go back in. And I expect, what you find in social circles where if you're late, kind of oh, she's late again. And I almost expect that when I come here. But instead, the Titus 2 moms are so warm and welcoming, and they say, hey, it's okay, come on in. You made it. Yes, Julie's already talking, but go in. You're still going to get some good stuff. They've never once made me feel bad. It's always, how can we help you? Here's a cup of coffee. Welcome. We're glad you made it. And that is, it's like, okay, I can breathe. I can do this. And it kind of gets the morning off right. And then Julie, where'd she go? Julie, the things you say, the words you say to us are so valuable and so important. And I can come having had the roughest morning, maybe the roughest week, and you're going to make me laugh. And you're going to give me encouragement and make me feel like not only can I do it, I want to do this. I want to be a good mom. I'm going to be a good mom. And that is such a gift from the Lord. So thank you for doing that. I know all of us feel the same way in this room. And then, if that's not good enough, the icing on the cake would be small group. Hey, girls. Y'all, the friends that I've made here in small group, just out of this world. My very first group 3 years ago, Megan was the leader, and I'm still good friends with several of the girls. We'll get together, we check on each other, we have kids about the same age, and same with our group this year. It's been phenomenal. There's been those mornings where I've walked in with a tear-streaked face because it was just so hard to get out the door. Or I come with my hair half clean, probably more half dirty than half clean. And then I sit down and I get to pour my heart out, or they pour their heart out, and we pour into each other's lives. We don't look at the outside, which is what so much of the world does. We look at what's inside, and we say, how can we pray for you? How can we support you? And you guys, it was a rough transition when I added my second child. And I really think the prayers that you guys prayed over me helped. I have no doubt that it got me through a really rough patch. And so I thank you for that. So, just going back to what my mom said, yeah, kids can ruin your body, sure. But they definitely haven't ruined my life. In fact, if it wasn't for my kiddos, I never would have been introduced to this group. And for that, I'm super grateful.
Okay, so that is really hard to follow. My name is Christy Alvarez, and this is my first year in Fearless Mom. So I remember last spring, I ran into a friend of mine at school. So we were in drop-off. There's a couple of moms in our small group that have the same kids and the same preschool. Anyway, she was wearing the LHC T-shirt that I also bought last year with the 48TX shirt. And I was like, hey, I go to that church too. I was so excited. And she's like, you know what? I'm on my way to Fearless Mom. You should come with me sometime. And I did not know what to expect. This is so amazing. And so I could not wait for the fall to register. And because, I didn't know my expectations. And so, but the moment that I first heard the lesson, I knew I was in the right place, the right time. So I learned that day and weeks after, just from what Julie said and what other people shared in our small group, if you're feeling overwhelmed and under-equipped, you're not alone. God doesn't call us to motherhood. He calls us to participation and perfection. So I thought that, and not perfection, but I thought that really spoke to me that day because here I have a 4-year-old, 2-year-old. I'm trying to do everything that I can to juggle. And mistakes are wasted if they're kept to yourself because we all learn from each other. And give honor and grace and run your own race. Be grateful for what He has given and adapt to change. Realize everything can't be perfect. Throw out the perfectionism. Enjoy the moment and celebrate. So basically, this has taught me to be a better mom, wife, friend, and I'm so thankful for my small group for lifting each other up. And we have thought of some great ideas throughout the year, and we really do bounce off and cheer each other on. We've done like meal trains we've had 2 moms that had babies, yay! And it's just so neat how we just all come together just to support each other. And I know I'm a better person because of this church and because of Fearless Mom. And although my family and I were moving here in a few months, I'm really sad that I just found this. But I know that I'm going to start my own virtual thing aside, so I can't wait for that. So watch out for Indiana. So we'll be representing there. And so to end, I just wanted to say to live fearless means to decide that today is a gift and that the past was a lesson, but to let it go, and that tomorrow is an amazing opportunity. To be our fearless mom means to decide to rise up, to give, to fight for your heart, and to not allow all the baggage and fears and worry define worth. Because deep down, you're worth it, you are enough, and you make a difference. You just need to live knowing that truth. Thank you.
Hello. I feel like I need to apologize to you guys because I wore a dress, so hopefully you can't see up it. We're all moms, so we've seen much worse, so I apologize. My name is Ashley, and this is my first semester at Fearless Mom. When my husband Derek and I moved here in January, I wasn't exactly aware of what Fearless Mom was. But I signed up because I thought it would be a good place to meet moms and get our daughter Brooklyn some playtime. I really had no idea how much of an impact it would make in my life. I spent the first year of motherhood in isolation and often paralyzed by postpartum anxiety, as I'm sure many of you can relate to. I didn't really have anyone to reach out to because I was embarrassed that I didn't have it all together, and I didn't think anyone would understand. As many of you can relate to, that first year was so very lonely due to nap times, teething, and all of the things that come with the newborn and baby stage. Every week I think about how helpful it would have been to have something like Fearless Mom in that first scary season of motherhood. I was very excited about moving here to Austin, but it was also very terrifying because I was worried I'd feel even more alone. And then there was Fearless Mom. The greatest takeaway for me this semester was realizing that most of us experience the exact same emotions and struggles in one way or another, that we really are all in this together. It's been so faith-building to see the way God knit our small group together. We've laughed and cried all in the same 30 minutes. We've realized that some of us have very similar stories of tragedy and of triumph. We've celebrated new life together and also mourned together the passing of close family members. We've encouraged each other in the very vulnerable and hard things of life. I honestly feel that Fearless Mom has given me my mom tribe, one I wouldn't have otherwise. And of course, the wealth of knowledge I've gained from Julie's teaching is something I'm so thankful for. I feel more and more prepared for motherhood with each session, and I can't wait to share the link with my mom friends who live outside of Austin. This emotional mama feels equipped to raise an SWB, and just maybe I won't ruin my child after all. And please let Peggy Martin be my leader every semester.
Hey guys, I'm so nervous. Last night I said I need to get pumped up, so I turned on Netflix and I found Brene Brown, and I looked at my husband and I was like, let's just watch it for 5 minutes, see if you like it. And 10 minutes later, he's like, she's good. So I watched that and I got pumped up and I was like, this is God's arena, and I'm wearing God's armor, and I will get up there and I will not cry or sweat, and I am sweating. And I might cry. I'm Cassidy Sullivan. My husband, Sean, and I moved here to Austin almost 2 years ago with our son, Clark. He was 14 months at the time and is celebrating his 3rd birthday on Friday. In Julie's terms, I had Joe first and Emily second. So this transition has been really hard. She's only 6 months, but I swear she screams at me already. My daughter is Faye, so she came in November. This is my 2nd year of Fearless Mom. My family and I actually came to Lake Hills Church the very first weekend that we moved here to Austin. And in the parking lot, we approached the sweetest family, and I asked all these questions, and luckily for me, it was the Carroll family. And Ashley made sure I knew about Fearless Mom immediately. And so time came to sign up, and she texted me the night before, and I set my alarm, and I was so excited. And sure enough, I woke up to her phone call, and she's like, the child care is filling up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting on right now, I have to pay. And that was just, I'm so grateful to you for the last 2 years of our friendship and how you've connected me to this church. Let's see. All of us here, of course, could go on and on about the benefits of Fearless Mom, from friendships and discipline support to marriage, vision planning, and self-awareness. I feel like I'm not the best communicator, and so I've never really had the words to explain my anxiety to my husband. And Dr. Nicole the other day did maybe a few weeks ago, a teen talk, and she said something so simple and so profound for me. And the other day, I'm rushing around trying to get stuff done, and my husband gave me the look, and I finally had the words to just say, my anxiety does not want me to sit down, ever. So he looks at me like I'm running around like a chicken. He just doesn't get it, and I have not been able to explain it so simply. And he's like, okay. And then he walked away. I was so glad I could communicate that in that way. I just wanted to highlight the benefit for me, the hugest benefit from Fearless Mom has been healing in my relationship with my mom. Without giving too much background, my parents divorced each other twice. Once when I was 2, and then they got remarried and had my brother, and divorced again when I was 12. I went to Catholic school for elementary and high school, but didn't really attend church often with my family outside of the school day. And God wasn't a frequently used term in our home. I have to say that my mom is an incredible woman. I love her so much, and I would be nowhere without her. She's filled with passion. She makes friends really easily. She's generous, creative, and silly. She's also critical, loud, quick to judge, and has a hard time listening. When I reflect often about my childhood, I feel like my mom kind of became more of a friend growing up. We didn't have a lot of rules and consequences or conflict resolution. There was a lot of yelling. We'd all go to bed, and the next day it was like nothing happened. And when I look back, I know that now those what felt like explosive feelings was what her anxiety and depression looked like. And a lot of times mine looks different, but I look back and can relate to her now in so many ways. When they always say, like, you'll know when you're a mom. You'll never get it until you're a mom. I can't imagine the guilt that she carried and still does from those two divorces for so long. Sorry. I'm not going to cry. I told myself I'm not going to do it. When I was 16, my mom married her soulmate and best friend, Tim. They were married for 10 years. 3.5 years ago, he passed after 2 tragic months of fighting a rare brain disease. Tim was raised in a Baptist home, and as an adult, God was not a part of his life, and my mom kind of followed suit there. I share all these little details because God has done incredible things in my life. He's always good, and he's always the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It's just been in these last 3 years that I've decided to pursue him and do things his way instead of mine. So we moved away from our family. I've created a physical and emotional boundary between my mom and I've found a church that's profoundly supported our family vision. A village of moms here that validate my feelings but remind me who Jesus is and what he's doing in and through my motherhood journey, my marriage. And I've accepted the reality, thanks to Mac and Julie, that my past is interesting but irrelevant. I no longer choose to drink my mom's overflow because I have to worry about mine, respectfully. Because of Fearless Mom, I speak God's truth into my mom, recognize that I'm not a victim of my emotions, and I give honor and grace and run my own race. Because of Fearless Mom, I can list what I want for my marriage and my children, not just what I don't want. The other day, my mom sent me a devotional and a text message. She actually has been going to Al-Anon for some of our family members, which is just support for anyone who's in a relationship with someone battling alcoholism, just in case you didn't know what that was. But she sent me a devotional that she had got from a sponsor that day, and I was kind of taken aback. And it had to do with you pursuing God and that relationship with him. And then she said, some parts are tough for me, I struggle, but I very much want to live in faith like you. And she's already signed up for Fearless Mom Conference in February, so she's coming. And lastly, thank you to my leader, Peggy. And last year I had Amelia, who's also awesome, and I've loved both of my groups. And you guys have helped me so much. Some of you are up here during this transition to 2 kids this year. And I love you guys so much.
Well, good morning. Julie, this is awful. I know some of you, but for a lot of you, I don't know. My name is Kelsey Stanton. My husband's name is Trey Stanton. We have 2 kids, Summer, who is 3.5, and EJ, who is, how old is he? 1.5. And I've heard about Fearless Moms through church. We go to church here. I've heard about it through my Connect group, which I was with Ashley Carroll and Lori Hahn at first, and they would brag about it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's great. When I'm a mom, I'll look it up. Well, God said, you're not going to be a mom yet. We had infertility issues, and it was something that I really struggled with. When you have infertility issues, you feel like something's wrong with you, something's broken. Why doesn't God want me to have a baby? Why do I struggle when other women are super fertile and I'm infertile? This is great, So, Lizzie, I hear you out there. Thank you. I need that laugh. Okay. So I hit rock bottom when my roommate and best friend from college was pregnant. She had infertility issues, but she got pregnant. So I was like, yay, there's hope for me too. And then she had her baby, and she called me, and she was very sweet about it. And hey, I want you to come and meet my sweet baby, and I understand if it's hard. And I was like, no, I've got this. I'm going to go see your baby and love you, and this is going to be so great. And of course, everyone around me is pregnant and babies, and I'm so happy for everyone. Not really, though. But so I go in the morning to do my Bible study. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and I just remember the feeling of I was bitter, I was angry. That's not me. I'm not a bitter, angry person. I'm usually really happy, and nothing can get me down. But this did. This kind of broke me, and I was like, God, why? Why? What's going on here? So I was flipping through my Bible study. I was angry. I wasn't paying attention to what I was looking at. And finally I read, I don't know why, don't know how this came about, but I read John 14:14. And it says, if you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may be with you forever. And I said, okay. Okay, you're going to be a genie for me. Great, let's pray about this. You're going to give me a baby. And then I was like, no, that's not what you're wanting me to see. So I read the whole chapter, did the cross references, and then I got to verse 27. I'm going to try and not cry, because this gets me every time. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. Oh my Lord, y'all should have seen me. I was on the floor. Oh my gosh, I hear you, God. I want your will to be done. If you don't want me to have kids, take it from me. If you do, great. If you want me to adopt, great. Okay, God, I hear you. So all of a sudden there's this light and there's this joy in me, and I'm so excited to go see my roommate and her baby. And I kid you not, 9 months later I'm pregnant, have a baby, summer. Super strong-willed blessing, super great. And I just remember God saying, remember your downfall. Remember the despair you felt. Remember, because motherhood is not easy. Okay, I'll remember. I'm breastfeeding. This is really hard. I'm not bonding. This really hurts. This is not magical. Who told me this was going to be great? This is all y'all's fault. And then I get a social media request being like, Fearless Moms is starting back up in August, I think. And Megan was my leader, and some of you ladies were in my group. Yeah, girl. And so I remember when I first came, Julie was talking. Oh my gosh, that girl has such a gift, y'all. Seriously, God speaks through her, and so much truth. And so at the end, when we're getting ready to break for small group, she's like, this is just a reminder. We're not going to be husband bashing. We're not going to be bashing ourselves. We're not going to be. And I was like, yes, girl, preach. I loved it. I don't know. I just got so much out of that first day. So then I get to my small group, and Megan was so sweet and such a great leader, and all the girls were just so sweet and just a hot mess like me, and I was so grateful. And they had so much to share with me, and I see some of you. And so if I didn't have Fearless Moms, I honestly don't know how I could be a mom. It is the most amazing, inspirational, my cup runneth over type thing. Yes, church is super important to me. Yes, Bible studies. Yes, Connect Group. But Fearless Moms grounds me, it humbles me, it keeps me just happy. Oh my gosh, she's filming me. I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful to you, Julie, and all the girls and Titus 2 moms that help lead, and Cody and my group now. I just thank y'all so much. I really appreciate everything that y'all do for me.
Hi. My name's Kendall Harvey, and I have a very handsome, strong-willed 4.5-year-old son, Brooks, and I also have a precious, too smart for her own good daughter. She'll be 2 next month. Pray for me. I'm the one that always pushes around that obnoxiously pink empty stroller, and I promise you'll see why in a minute. But first, let's start with a little background on me. I grew up in Houston. I had a strong faith foundation poured by my amazing mom, dad, and older brother. I grew up in the church. If the doors were open, we were there. Monday night choir, Wednesday night church, Sunday school, mission trips, church camps, you name it, I did it. I did the Bible drills, I knew the memory verses. God and I were totally on the same page. I was a cheerleader, a competitive swimmer, and a volleyball player. I was extremely active and blessed with countless opportunities to try new sports. And in 2004, at the end of my sophomore year of high school, I went on a first date to see Shrek 2 with the stud of the football and baseball team, Kyle Harvey. And Kyle and I fell hard and fast for each other. And next month actually marks 15 years of my life where Kyle has held a huge piece of my heart. And we got married in 2009, and life was blissful newlywed paradise. And we played co-ed football and sand volleyball and softball and anything else we could try. If you can't tell, we were pretty active and a little competitive. In 2013, I began noticing some weird changes in my body. At the age of 25, my world was rocked. I was diagnosed with an extremely rare disease I had never even heard of called Friedreich's ataxia, or FA for short, because that's a mouthful. Without getting too sciencey, FA is a genetic disease where my cells don't regenerate and function the way they should. And this buildup of damaged cells causes kind of a delay in how my body communicates with my central nervous system. And this results in a wide array of symptoms, including decreased dexterity and coordination, poor balance, slurred speech, fatigue, and eventually cardiac failure in most cases. FA is relentlessly progressive, and there's currently no treatment or cure. And I wish that I could say that I was strong as beautiful Kim Watson was in the face of my storm. She said she didn't blame God, she wasn't angry, she held fast to her foundation of faith and strength and purpose. That wasn't me. I was mad at God. I felt cheated, abandoned, lied to, and fooled. Here I was thinking I was going along my merry way down God's ordained path, and then bam. Now instead of being the adventurous, silly, fun, active mom and wife I had always pictured, I was looking to a future that meant I'd become dependent on a walker in a few years and bound to a wheelchair a few years after that. When I was diagnosed with FA, I was faced with a fight or flight decision. And the very first words out of Kyle's mouth were, "It's okay, we can fight this." I immediately snapped at him. "Didn't you just hear what the doctor said? There's no treatment or cure, and this life-shortening disease. How am I supposed to fight this? I can't beat FA." I still feel so horrible about that moment. I was so scared. I was devastated. And instead of doing what I know I should have done, instead of laying this burden at God's feet and letting Him guide me, I completely shut Him out. I shut everyone out. I wasn't ready to give my problems to God. I wasn't ready to forgive God or find joy beyond the diagnosis. I wanted to stay mad at God because at the time that's all that made sense. My friends and family would say, "We're praying for you," and I was like, "Okay, great, thanks." But that doesn't help. I still have FA, and now you're praying to the God who gave me FA. But I took their sentiments with a smile, and I took comfort in the fact that at least someone was talking to God about my FA because I wasn't. FA was my first real life struggle, the first time my faith was really tested, and I responded with anger. I fled from the God who had always been my safe harbor, and instead of talking to Him, I blamed Him and ignored Him. But then I really needed Him. Kyle and I were having the kid discussion. Should we or shouldn't we? And I didn't know what the right answer was because my future was so unpredictable now. For the first time in 5 months, I earnestly prayed. And I said, "Okay, God, you gave me FA. What now? Where do we go from here? You obviously had a plan for my life that I had no part of planning. So give me a clear sign that we either are or aren't meant to have kids." And that next week, we got Kyle's test results back that he was not a carrier for the FA gene. This means that without a doubt, our kids will not have FA. Thank God. So we took that as our sign to go for it, and we got pregnant that month. For me, it took a big thing like pregnancy to come back to God. I'd been going through the motions, going to church, thanking everyone for their prayers. But until I heard my son's heartbeat on that first ultrasound, I was lost. When I realized that the same God who gave me this broken body could use that very same body to grow perfect human life, my faith was restored. I had to let go of anger. I had to relinquish the delusion that I had control over my life. In the words of our wise Queen Elsa, I had to let it go. I've learned so much in the last 5 years since my diagnosis. I've discovered strength I never knew I had, built positive friendships, and grown fulfilling relationships with my family. But most of all, I've discovered my purpose in life, to be the best person I can be, even with FA. So I am fighting hard. I go to physical therapy every week. I've raised over $187,000 for FA research. Thank you. Thank you. I write weekly blog posts for an FA news column. I ride my recumbent trike every year in ride ataxia. I fly across the country every month to participate in a clinical trial, and I share my feelings with my kids and let them play an active role in my journey. And they push me to fight harder every single day. Becoming a mom saved my life, and Fearless Mom has equipped me so well for this. My FA has progressed to the point where I'm dependent on assistance to walk. I usually use my walker around the house or around town, but I opt for shopping carts when I'm at Target or H-E-B. And I usually use the stroller when I'm out with my daughter in tow. But with Fearless Mom, I've learned to remove shame from that struggle. FA is a huge, constantly changing, relentless struggle. And God has shown me that others gain strength from my vulnerability, especially my kids. I chose to be very open and honest about my journey with FA, and God has used it in ways I never could have expected. I mean, look at me today. I'm standing in front of all of these beautiful moms with a microphone. I certainly don't have it all figured out, and I make a countless number of mistakes every hour. FA is a very humbling disease and quite literally knocks me down a step or two to bring me back to reality. But God is using all of that for His glory by letting me share my story. When people admire my strength or encourage me with the old Christian sentiment of God won't give you more than you can handle, I think, well, yes, He absolutely did. And I absolutely can't handle FA on my own. I absolutely can't handle motherhood on my own. I can't handle marriage on my own, but that is His design. We aren't meant to do any of this on our own because we aren't on our own. God is always with us, rooting for us and equipping us. They say it takes a village to raise a baby. That's so true. And if God is at the center of our village, there truly isn't anything He can't handle. I've learned to embrace my responsibility as a mom and as an ambassador for rare disease. And God has equipped me for this. I get to empower by example. And God created me the way He did, on purpose, with purpose, and for a purpose. I will not let my feelings get in the way of that purpose. As Dr. Nicole said, think your way through life, don't feel your way through life. I've learned that what your children believe about who they are comes from the overflow of what you believe about who you are and why you are. That's the kind of responsibility that makes me throw open my mouth a little bit. But it's such an important guiding truth. I've also learned that we cultivate a culture for our children by how we communicate and what we tolerate. That includes how I talk about myself. My kids need to see and hear me loving myself just the way God made me, so that they'll grow to love their sweet, beautiful, uniquely individual selves. The other night, I was tucking Brooks in, and he asked me, Mommy, why do you always have that walker with you now? And I said, oh, well, it just helps me walk, Betty. And he said, why do you need help walking? And I said, well, my legs just don't work very well, so I need a little help. And being a typical toddler, he said, why? Oh, Betty, I wish I knew. I just said, this is the way God made me, but guess what still works great? My tickle hands. And so Julie reminds us of Romans 8:28. We know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose for them. I don't understand why God let FA enter my life. I don't think I ever will, but that's okay. God doesn't command us to understand. He commands us to trust and obey. So that's what I'll do. I won't be able to explain the big picture of why Mommy's legs don't work very well to my kids, but that's okay. As long as they see me living well and loving God and people as best I can, I'll count that as mission accomplished. I will choose to continue to find hope in the hurt and purpose in the pain. Here are a few one-liners from our wise Julie that have really spoken to me throughout the year. Courage is the fight in spite of the fear. It's not what my future holds, but who holds my future. His plans are perfect. Work in your strength, work on your weakness. You can't predict or prevent heartache, but you can prepare your children for it. Teach how to think, not what to think. Behavior is a phase. Relationships are forever. It's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to be mean. And last, but certainly not least, every story can be used for His glory. Thank you.